I don't think anybody's watching this, but we're gonna do it anyway because I need to do it at some point, and live streaming is fun, right? So this is a little bit of a weird. Thanks, cat. This is my cat, Dolphy. So this is a little bit of a weird setup because I am demonstrating or working in OBS. I didn't want to stream in OBS, so I'm streaming from Streamlabs OBS, and I'm just gonna show you the picture in OBS on my monitor. So I have Streamlabs OBS running on a secondary monitor. If you're curious, if you're hearing me right now, and if you could type something in chat to let me know that you're hearing me. This is the camera that's currently on right now is the camera on my Mac Studio or Apple Studio display connected to my Mac Studio, and I'm just playing around and using the built-in microphone, which I think sounds pretty good for what it is. The speakers sound really good, but you won't be able to hear that over the thing. Hey, bud. No, sorry, my cat is doing things that she's not allowed to do, like destroy my stuff. So my goal here is to set up OBS for online teaching and Loopback for online teaching. And so the way that I have this set up right now is that OBS is going to have a virtual camera that then sends itself over to Zoom. And you can see I've got Stream Deck open. This is my Stream Deck profile from my previous computer. I did not bring my OBS profile and scenes over because I wanted to rebuild them based on everything that I learned from doing it for a little while. So I want my Stream Deck to be more or less the same as it was before, and I just want to change some things about the OBS setup. So let's get into it. So this is the Stream Deck XL setup that I'm using. I've set up a couple of these things already. So I believe this recording button should work already, and that's important. These two guys just run Keyboard Maestro things that launch a bunch of applications. This is the only part that I've really set up already in the OBS scenes, and this one switches between two cameras. So I've got this is my Apple Studio display camera, and when I press that button, it switches to the USB webcam that's on top of my monitor, which is actually displaying this stuff. Hi, it's pointing strangely low. I got a new standing desk, which is cool. I'm still using this microphone though. So you can see the color's a little off between the two, but I think actually this camera looks okay. It looks better today than it did when I first set it up. Maybe it's just because it's a little nicer in lower light, and this is a little lower light than it was yesterday. But anyway, this is the secondary camera. So this button's working great. So one of the tricks that I learned is that I want to set up as many things in scenes as I can, and I'll show you what I mean by that as we go. So one of the things that I will often want to do is show my iPad display, and so I want that as its own scene. So first of all, let's make sure I've got this guy set up. So this should just be my primary camera, and it appears to be that. Whatever my primary camera is, that's what's showing here. Strangely, now this thing is not, now my camera switcher thingy is not working. Aha! So I need to be in my Zoom class profile, and this is my primary camera. I don't know why I also have an untitled profile, but it seems that I do. Haha! That's what happened. It actually accidentally switched scenes on me. All right, so that's working. This is my AirPlay receiver. So I know macOS has a built-in AirPlay receiver, but it's not as flexible as it needs to be for the stuff that I'm doing. And so I use AirServer, which is this app here. So I want this to be exactly where it is, and I want to use a window capture for this guy. So I'm going to create a new scene that I'm going to call AirServer display. I'll just call it AirServer. I'm going to add, what? I'll do it this way. Is this cool? Nope. Hey, this is the cool thing that slobs can do that I wish made it work. Anyway, kind of like the glowing rounded rect here. Anyhow, I want to put this guy in here, so I'm going to add a new window capture, and I'm going to call that air server window. If you give it a different name, because OBS does not like having a scene, and oh no, that didn't work out. Air server, there we go. Does not like having a scene and a source that have the same name. So we're good to go here. Now if I pinch to zoom and do all that stuff, I can draw and do all the things that I need to do there. And that'll be good. I want to now solve the next problem that goes in here. So I'm going to get rid of my mini camera here because I want to add a little mini camera in OBS. So what I would like to be able to do is display my iPad screen, but not go away on the display that I'm sending to Zoom as you're seeing it now. And so to do that, there are a number of ways that I could do that. I could just add a source in this scene, but what I really want to be able to do is to add that little mini camera to a bunch of different scenes. And so the way that I can do that is to make a new scene, and I'll call this mini camera. And here I'm going to add my primary camera scene. And I'm just going to make it small. I like it in the right corner. I don't know why. I'm going to just lock it into the corner. I don't care that much about it looking pretty with a little nice border around it. But here's why this is cool. Now I can, in my air server scene, I can add this scene above the air server window. So I'm going to add a mini camera. Mini cam? How do I have both mini cam and a mini camera? That's very confusing. Did I already make a mini camera? Oof. 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 Sorry, y'all. That was real confusing. I'm going to get rid of the thing called mini camera. So I only have one of them. All right. So why this is cool is I can go into my air server scene, and I can add my mini cam on top of this. And then here in Stream Deck, I can tell the mini cam to toggle the primary camera source on and off. So check this out. Now from my Stream Deck, I can press this button and it's going to toggle that source on and off from the mini cam scene. And it may not seem useful until I want to place this same camera inside another scene. And I can use this one button on my Stream Deck to toggle the visibility of this little inset camera in whatever scene is up, which I think is pretty cool and pretty useful. So I'm going to leave this up for now. But let's keep going. So I've got several of these covered. I've got my my air server button covered. I'm going to leave off the browser window for now because I don't actually use Chrome anymore. I want to put in my my action keyboard thing. So my live keyboard is pretty cool. I've changed the application that I use to do this. I wrote a blog post about how I do this, and I referred to an application called VMPK, Virtual MIDI Piano Keyboard. And I stopped using it for a number of reasons, but most of all, I found this application that sounds really good. This is a virtual piano. I don't think you're hearing that right now because you're just hearing the speakers, or the microphone rather, on my studio display. But it not only sounds really good, it looks really good. So I'm going to capture this. For this, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a window capture. I'm going to call this live piano keyboard. And I'm going to do this the same way that I did the mini camera, in that I'm going to create a window capture. I'm going to call this piano tech window. And I'm going to select the piano tech window. And now you can see this is not an application that is designed for like the visual presentation of what's going on. Yeah, Ayler, light mode and loopback, because I'm an adult and I do not need things to be dark and scary everywhere. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to crop out the upper stuff that I don't need in the piano tech window. I think it looks pretty good and it sounds pretty good, but I don't need this stuff when I'm teaching. So if I hold down the Option key and drag, it will crop. I'm going to crop out everything except the piano bits. I'm going to crop in the sides a little bit. I probably don't need to see these little edgy bits. I probably don't actually need the entire keyboard either. It's pretty unlikely that I would go down to that low, super low register up to that super high register in my music theory class. But that also lets me make this a little taller. Because I didn't really need to crop those in, I could just let it hang. Let it hang. All right. So now I can play the piano and the keys will light up. I don't know where the piano tech window went. There we go. Now I can play things and the keys will light up, which is really cool for teaching class. So we'll save that and we'll put that in the air server spot as well. So here I can add a new scene of, or a copy of my piano keyboard scene. I think I probably want that below the camera most of the time. Yeah, I think that looks right. I'm gonna trim the bottom of that window a little bit more from where I have it. I don't need this. I'll just slide it down a little bit. I don't need that. There we go. Back to air server. Yeah, it looks good. And so now I can turn off my face and just have the piano keyboard. And I want to be able to toggle the piano keyboard on and off too, because I don't need that all the time. I just need that some of the times. And so I am going to assign that to this Stream Deck button. So this is going to, in my Zoom class collection, on the live piano keyboard thing, it will toggle the piano tech window. Right? So that's pretty cool. You know what? I'm going to change the name of this to camera selection, and here's why. Because I always want to be able to select between my cameras. And that's a good question, Ayler. That's just, I'll show you in a second what that's coming from. Because I always want to be able to select between the two cameras that I have plugged in, but I don't want any overlays that I put in here to show up in those other places. So I don't, if I have a mini camera, I don't want mini keyboard below it. So this is just camera selection. And so this thing is going to toggle in the camera selection thing. I'm going to create a new scene for primary camera. And that is going to take camera selection And here's what's cool. I might want to show me with the piano keyboard as well. And so I'm going to put a copy, or an input rather, of the live piano keyboard scene in here. And now I can toggle that here. And when I switch to my, I just did that again. This needs to be set up to go to Zoom class, air server. So now I go here, I've got the piano keyboard here. I can turn the mini camera on and off. And I can go back to my main camera and the piano keyboard's still there. I don't obviously want to have the mini keyboard here. So Ayler, to your question, this is not Fourscore. This may shock musicians around the world. I do not actually use Fourscore for teaching pretty much ever. I use it for conducting and performing, but I don't use it for teaching. So this is just GoodNotes. And it's GoodNotes inside of Air Server. So this is just showing what's on my iPad right now. All right, that's cool. We're gonna leave off this Chrome thing for now. I have an idea for what I want to do with this later, but it's not gonna be Chrome. Next, ooh, this is a fun one. I play Spotify in class a lot. I use Spotify for a lot of musical examples. You can see yesterday's class included some TI, whatever you like. But when I do this before class, I like to show just this little like album art window and information box thing below it. And so for that to work, it's a little funky because sometimes Spotify is a little bit inconsistent about what you get from it. I'm gonna relaunch Spotify and see if that window shows up in exactly the same way. It kind of does. All right. So for this, what I like to do is I'll make a window capture. I'll call this Spotify album art. This is going to be a window capture source. There is a time and a place for display capture that is cropped, but this is going to be still window capture. This is the Spotify window. One of the things that sucks about capturing Spotify is that it might change the window title, and that confuses OBS. So if you start playing something, that will put it in the window title. Now, if you start capturing it before you start playing something, it is usually pretty consistent and not going to cause too many problems. But that's, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to crop in from the other side, definitely from the top. So what I'm going to do is just use this weird way that this thing works to grab the album art in a way that I can make look kind of cool floating around the scene. But no, I don't want to do that. And I will often, when I'm teaching online, have this running before class and just playing something before class. And I'll not have that, but I'll have the Spotify album art just sitting there. So for the primary camera scene, I'm gonna add yet another scene, and this is kind of the result here. This might be why I sometimes have some problems dropping frames with the virtual camera in Zoom, because I have so many layers of scenes on scenes on scenes. But I'm hoping that my rad new Mac Studio will not have those kinds of problems. I don't know how it's looking for everybody else. I do not think it has a mini player window type, but if it did, I would still want to see everything that's going on. And what's cool here is I can like change this. I can use the whole Spotify index or interface here that's not going to be shown on the screen. So like I could be digging through playlists or something in the main window and nobody sees that. They just see the album art that's playing right now. So in class this week, we looked at the axis progression. That's the doo-wop progression. And axis A, the minor version of the axis progression, is the kind of the whole of whatever you like. So that's why I have that queued up in Spotify. So we're doing pretty good on my Stream Deck buttons. We got this. And I want to make sure that that's an option for the air server scene as well. So I'm just going to copy and paste that, which is a pretty cool thing that I'm allowed to copy and paste stuff, copy and paste scenes like that. So now again, I can switch here, and that thing is still here. This little album art dingus is hanging out. While I switch back and forth between these. Also, I don't know if you were here when I said this earlier, but this camera that I'm using, this is the webcam on the Apple Studio display. For comparison, it's mostly a raunchy color difference that is not pleasant. This is my Logitech C920 camera. I'm also using the microphone that's built into the Apple Studio display since I don't want to be messing with it when I'm setting up Loopback. Let's see. Keynote, I can punt on Keynote for now. This is a fun, this scene here is a fun thing that I like to be able to do. So before class, what I will often do when I'm teaching from home is while students are coming in, I'll have some music playing, I might hang out and chat in the text chat in Zoom. But a lot of times, instead of showing my face the whole time, which is dumb and awkward, and I don't know, maybe I should show my face because I want my students to show their faces, is I will point my camera at the floor and play fetch with my cat. So, yeah, I agree that the Apple Studio display camera is looking pretty good. I tried this yesterday during the day, and with more light coming in, I have big windows right on the other side of my room here. I don't think it looked as good as it does right now. So I think this looks pretty good with slightly less light. So that might have something to do with it. So anyway, this camera, I used to use a camera that looks more like this icon that's like a Eufy home security camera. That's kind of my pet cam. But it looked real funky, and I don't know, it was kind of unreliable in the way that I haven't had it connected to OBS. So what I use instead is Camo Studio, which is a cool app that I can run on my iPhone and my Mac and use my iPhone camera, and then I just have a little stand for my iPhone camera and point it at the ground. So I'm going to set that up with the this is going to be cat cam. I'm going to set up Camo Studio here, and I believe Camo Studio presents itself as a regular camera, like a little video capture device. So I'm going to call this Camo Studio. Camo camera, cool. It's not running, that's fine. Can fix that. We have the technology. Hey, that's the floor. This is my hand. And if you've not used Camo, I think it looks amazing. I have no idea where my cat is. Oh, I found her. Hey, bud. She's taking a nap on her little windowsill thing. Often before class, I'll be playing fetch with her, playing with toys down here on the floor. All right, so that looks pretty good, and I want to make sure that I have the Spotify scene in here as well. So in case I'm playing anything before class, I will show that here. Probably don't need the piano keyboard here, but I might grab it anyway, just to be comprehensive. So I'm gonna just copy paste it from here so I don't have to get everything exactly perfectly right again. And I will also grab the mini camera of me and put it on the CAD cam. Because again, if I'm asking students to put their pictures on or their cameras on, then I should show mine. Yeah, that's and this room is super wet. I've got hardwood floors, I've got hard walls all around me, I've got a whole wall of windows on the other side. This is a real bad room for microphones. So in general, I think it is. I agree, it's pretty good. The speakers, which are not meaningful to present to you over this live stream, are very good. I've been very impressed with the speakers for what they are. I mean, when I'm doing like real audio work, I am pretty much always using headphones. But if I'm just like having stuff play while I work on stuff, or watching YouTube videos or whatever, or watching a hockey game or something, while I grade papers, it sounds amazing. It's very good, and I'm led to understand that's the same case with the new MacBook Pros too. Which MacBook Pro do you have, Ayler? And I know there's a delay, so I'm gonna keep moving on while you type that answer. All right. So the next thing that I might want to do here is, I guess, depending on what kind of lesson I'm doing, I may want to like share a whole display. Sometimes with a composition lesson, I'll want to help a student with like, you know, how to do stuff in Sibelius or MuseScore or whatever. So I do sometimes want to show a whole display. So I'll set those up as well. Those are pretty simple. So I have display 0 set here already. So you're seeing display 0. That's pretty much already set up. The only thing I really would want to add there is my mini camera. So I'm going to paste that in, and I'll do the same thing. I'll make a display 1 for the display that I'm actually using right now. Do a display capture, and I want this to be we'll call, it's a 2021. Nice. Yeah, the 16 inch is okay, cool. So this is my LG 4K display. So one thing I don't like, and I read this about the Apple Studio display before I bought it, so I was not like a total, it wasn't a total complete surprise to me, is, I'm gonna shrink this to be the right size while I'm talking. I really dislike how short the included cable is and how costly it is to buy a more expensive one. To say nothing of the fact that you can't get them right now. Like it's marked as like coming soon on the Apple Store, but it comes with like, I don't know, 2 feet or so of cable. I've got I bought the version of the Studio display with a monitor, with a VESA mount arm. So it's on a VESA arm. I can show a picture of it at some point if folks are curious. But let's see, kept trying to hide the speakers. Yeah, so but the VESA arm has cable routing through it. I already had to move my Mac Studio from one side of the table to the other side of the table, but I can't even route the cable all the way through the VESA arm because there's not enough cable to go all the way through it and still make it more than about 3 inches away. So if I wanted to use the cable routing, I would have to move the Mac Studio to be like literally on top of the foot of the VESA mount arm, and I would still not have enough like slack in it to move the display anywhere on the arm, which is like half the point of the VESA arm to begin with. So I don't know. I'm bummed about it. I'll get over it, but it seems like Like who are maybe if you're using the regular stand and you're not like routing a cable through the crook of a VESA arm, it makes sense. But I was pretty annoyed. It's the cable's really nice, but those Thunderbolt cables are wicked expensive. I have no idea why that is. I'm sure there's a very good reason, but it is wild to me. I haven't really, one thing I haven't tried anything with is the ports that are in the back of it. Like, it has some USB ports, and because it's a Thunderbolt 4 thing, it seems like I should be able to use those and have pretty good results. So that's something I should maybe look into. But I just don't want to have a bunch of like crap hanging off the back of it, because I'm in an open plan apartment, and there's like, I don't know, you don't need to know anything about my apartment, but you can see the back of my desk all day. All right, so I've got these guys. I can go show my Zoom class. I want this to be display 1. And I want this to be display 0. So I can do that. Boom, boom. Those of you that do this kind of thing, do you have a long fade? I think I want mine to just be a cut. Anyway, this button here I use for Keynote. I can set that up later. This is a mute switch for audio inputs, which I have not set up yet. But what it should do is mute specifically the Loopback device that has just my microphones. And I like that because I can play audio in class, play a long musical example or something, and turn off my audio going in, so that like if I need to yell at the cat or something, or take a sip of my coffee or whatever, it's not weirdly, I don't know. So anyway, it's a cool thing. I haven't set it up yet on the new computer yet. These things here are all Zoom buttons. I think these Spotify buttons are connected up. I don't want to play it on YouTube though and get like a copyright strike or something because of this thing. These buttons at the top, these 4 buttons here on my Stream Deck, I reserve these for audio examples. So the last time I had to do this, the audio examples were 2x2 from the Book of Mormon, Fanny Hensel's Nachtwandler, and Scott Joplin's Pineapple Rag. And I don't do anything fancy here. I don't use Farrago or anything like that. I just use the built-in audio player that's in Stream Deck. So speaking of which, let's wire those up. So this is I made this thing in Diagrams, which is a really cool application. Signal flow. So I'll show you the signal flow for how I have my Loopback setup working. I'll put this on my other monitor. Do I have any audio units or processing on my output? No, I do not. I do not use any audio units or VSTs or anything. That's a good question. And mostly because it would be annoying to set up, and I was already dropping video frames in OBS before. So it seemed like maybe that was not a great idea. But this is an app called Diagrams. That's in Setup actually, and it's really cool. But this is my the way I have my stuff set up in Loopback. So the green objects are inputs. So I have microphone inputs or any other hardware thing. I have software inputs on the left, and those go into the blue diamonds are all virtual audio devices that are set up in Loopback, and the virtual audio devices can send audio to one another. And what I like about this setup is that I can choose to monitor the applications and microphones separately. I usually do monitor my own microphone input, and I do it through Loopback because I have had problems before where there's not enough latency for it to bother me. If there's any latency, I've just gotten used to it. But I have run into problems where there's like a sample rate mismatch or something, and there's some kind of crazy sound that people are hearing in Zoom or on a stream that is not being represented in my monitors because I am monitoring directly from my audio interface and not from some software thing. So I don't use the built-in monitoring in my audio interface, which, if you're curious, is the Motu M2, which I really dig. So Ayler, do you use any audio units when you do this kind of thing, or am I a weirdo for not wanting to do that? All right, so I do want to set up in the audio mixer. I'm going to set up these same mixes here because I do want to be able to record stuff in Zoom sometimes. So I'm going to set up my audio here, and I'm just going to use my apps and mic mix here. And this is the same mix that I send to Zoom. So this will be useful, at least for now, because it will let me look at those levels going by in that I'm setting up in my Loopback devices. So what I like to do for this is I will set up all of my audio inputs, even the ones that I don't intend to use as sources, and then I'll just toggle them on and off. Right? If I find myself in a situation where I need to use the studio display microphone, I'd rather just have it there turned off than have to go and add it in the moment. Yeah, I think maybe if it was easier to add VSTs or audio units in Loopback directly, I would probably do it more. But as far as I know, there's not a way to add external effects in Loopback the way you can in Audio Hijack, right? I could be wrong about that. Yeah, I get what you're saying about the phase mount and the practicality, but with the little like Samsung T5 external SSDs, like those are super light. I could do those pretty easily. I wouldn't do like one of my giant like backup spinning disk thingies, but I don't know. Maybe I'll put my iLock in the back of here or something. I can't because it's USB-A. Anyway, so I'm gonna add a source. So my these are all gonna be hardware audio inputs. So, oh yeah, de-esser or de-noiser or something would be really useful, especially now that I just got RX9, Isotope RX9, which is all universal apps, Apple Silicon friendly. So here's my input. This is my big fancy microphone back there. And you can see that's now going into OBS here. But if you look closely, you can see that it's all in the left channel. And there's probably a nicer way to do this, but I so rarely need two channels coming in from this. I am going to do the kind of caveman version of this. I'm going to delete this cable, and I'm just going to plug the left channel into both channels here of this virtual device. And I'm gonna do something, I will not need to do that when I add the studio display microphone, because it is only going to be one channel. So it knows that going in, but my M2 actually has 2 input channels, and so I do need to tell it that. So you can see there's 2 cables coming out of here that are going into both channels of the output. And I am going to add a monitor, and I'm going to use the M2 to monitor as well. So that is my headphone situation. Let's test to make sure this is working out okay. And it is. Oh boy, this is weird having both of those microphones happening at the same time. I'm going to turn off one of them. Okay, cool. So this is my external audio in, and now in my apps and mic mix, this is the thing that's actually going to go into Zoom. You can see I have already set up the external audio in device that's going in, and that's why this is working out in OBS in the audio mixer there. Next, I want to set up my applications, and then we're pretty much going to be done with this setup. There's a few different ways you can do this. For the applications, I like to leave the pass-through open, but other people might want to do this differently. I also want to make sure that I have the option at least to monitor my applications from here. And well, I guess I can't do this. I would also, if I had my AirPods Pro connected to my Mac at the moment, they would show up as an option here. I would put those in here as well. I've had some weirdness with the AirPods Pro, and I've had to have like an AirPods Pro proxy device set up in Loopback before just to get them to work correctly with some applications. So anyway, just a caveat there. I don't have my AirPods Pro connected, so I'm not going to do that at the moment. But if you use them, that might be a thing that you would want to do here, is to add them in your list of monitors. And this is important because obviously I want to control when I'm hearing an application and when I'm not. There are other ways to do that. You can, when you add an application to this list, you can tell it whether you want it to mute the input from that application or not. I usually do, because I don't want whatever is playing back to come out of whatever the default speaker happens to be at that moment on my Mac, because that's what would happen. I want it to be muted, and I want to control what thing it comes out of here. So I definitely want to be able to send a browser window over. I definitely notice that here's that thing. I can mute when capturing or not. So by default, it is going to mute while capturing. I probably want to send Stream Deck, so that when I play one of those audio clips from the Stream Deck application, that's where that audio is going to come from. I don't see it in the list. Am I missing it? Maybe I will need to add it from my list, from my big app list. Stream Deck. And then, at least for now, I'm not going to set up all of these right now. Also, I don't know about y'all, but if you ever get a really long list of apps in a Loopback device, I find that it scrolls really funky, which is really annoying. So I need Piano Tech, which is my piano instrument. All right, so let's see if that's going to work. All right, I heard that. I don't think you should have heard that, because I don't think... Oh, maybe... Okay, well, you might be hearing it through the speakers. I'm going to turn off that monitoring, and I'm going to change the microphone on the stream to be this new Zoom mix that I just put together. So now you can hear that. Aftershow from current ATP pre-release talks about OBS being unreliable on Mac, but I haven't heard that from you or Robbie at all. I have not had that experience, actually. I think now it should be. That is interesting. I'll keep that in mind. This seems to be scrolling pretty well so far, but on my iMac, I had a list of probably 20 applications here, because every time I would want to add audio from something new, I would have to add it to this list. I do want to be able to hear Spotify, obviously. I do want to be able to hear, well, I guess Air Server. That will sometimes make noise. Yeah, I figured that it was the delay. And let's do this from the big app list. Select applications. Audio hijack. I don't think I would ever need that to come through my thing, but maybe. Definitely want to have Audacity. Audacity actually has some really useful features. Definitely Dorico. Can't select multiple things. Oh, this is dumb. So one thing I really like about Audacity for teaching, especially when I'm teaching students who are writing electroacoustic music, is it has it's a little uglier than some other ones, but it's free, and it's actually pretty speedy compared to a big fancy giant DAW. It has a pretty okay spectral view, so that can be really useful when I want to talk about how a student is using filters or something like that, or EQ in electroacoustic composition. So I really kind of like Audacity for that kind of thing. If I am feeling very fancy and on a computer that can swing it, I will use Adobe Audition instead, because I really like the spectral view. I just think the colors are pretty in Adobe Audition. And I'm sure there's a way to do it, and I really need to get to learn Reaper better. I think that would be maybe the best way to do this, because I have a lot of students who use Reaper because the price is ridiculous. I have no idea how they can make it work for the price. But I would love to figure out how to do that kind of spectral view, because then that's something that they can open up in the application that they're actually using to work on their stuff. I have a couple of students right now who are doing electroacoustic music, and they're both using, at least some of the time, using Reaper. Yeah, it's real pretty. The spectral view in Audition is real pretty. And you know, sometimes that's all I want. I just want it to be pretty. All right. So I've made enough of this for the purposes of demonstration. The other thing that I will do is, if I am making a separate Zoom recording, I will then add, this is the tricky bit, sometimes I want to record a Zoom locally instead of using the built-in Zoom recording stuff, because it does some things a little bit differently. I will actually record the output from Zoom, which I usually don't want to mute while I'm capturing. And then I will also I'll also grab my Zoom mix. Of apps and mics. So I can do it that way here. And I don't need to monitor that because it's not going to change any of the other settings. So this is mostly a thing that I would use when I'm making a recording. And that's sometimes what I will set to record in OBS as well. So I'm gonna actually add that in my mixer here, and I'm just gonna mute it, because otherwise I'll have double the other things, which I don't want. I wish this would show what the name of the audio device is, because otherwise it just says mic/aux and then mic/aux2. Zoomed audio hijack. Oh, that's a good question. It's because I am, when I'm recording a podcast, I do it that way. But when I'm recording a Zoom for video like this, then I would want it to be synced with the video already. But yeah, if I was recording audio, if I was just running an audio recording, I would definitely do that in audio hijack. Which, by the way, the new audio hijack looks beautiful and I haven't touched it at all yet. Create your first session. Not today. I'll have to do that before the next Scoring Notes podcast. So anyway, that's, I think that's gonna do it for this stream. So thank you to Ayler and whoever else stopped by for watching. But this is the setup at the moment. So the way I have this set up, I've got a bunch of scenes. So I've got my main scene that's here. I can toggle on and off the, I don't know why I keep getting these weird things disconnected. This isn't the camera selection I want this to be. The Spotify album art. All right. So I can remove that from here. I can switch over to here and I can remove it from here, which is pretty cool. Can have keyboard now that those places. Can have those on my monitors. I probably don't need the keyboard on the monitors. That's probably okay to not be there. I might put it on Keynote here at some point when I get this set up, but anyway, I'm feeling pretty good about where this is at right now. Anyway, thanks for hanging out while I set this up. This was fun. I'm gonna play with this new thing. By the way, if you're curious about how I'm showing this in OBS and not streaming that, it's because on my other monitor I'm running Streamlabs OBS, which is streaming this other thing, which makes me very impressed that I haven't dropped any frames yet. So I've got OBS and Streamlabs OBS running side by side, which is, I'm sure, gonna cause the world to fold in on itself. And I would use Streamlabs OBS for teaching, but their virtual webcam does not work on M1 Macs, so screw those guys. Anyway, thanks for watching.